Good evening, everybody. Shawn Poe here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I've also got Dr. Melody Rodarte here with us tonight for this opportunity webinar. Super excited to get to do this with her. Her husband actually sent us a text over earlier today that she just found out she is recognized as one of the top 5 doctors in Arizona. So we're super excited to be blessed with her expertise and her knowledge and sharing with you guys something pretty amazing that we stumbled upon about 6 years ago. So with that, I want to turn it over to Dr. Melody. She's a doctor of osteopathic medicine, graduated from Midwestern University, did a residency in internal medicine, board certified in internal medicine, as well as obesity medicine, certified in aesthetics, wound care, hyperbaric medicine. So she is a very established, great, amazing woman. We've gotten to know her and her husband fairly well at different events and different incentive trips that the company offers. And we know that she's also an amazing mother to 2 wonderful kids. I'm going to go ahead and mute all the lines, get you unmuted, Dr. Melody, and we will turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you so much. Well, I'm excited to do this tonight, and thank you for that congratulations too. And I got it in obesity medicine, and it's kind of neat. I'm coming up on my 15-year med school reunion, and just to kind of get it this year was incredible. Tony thought something was wrong with me when I got the text, because I kind of just was so excited. But anyway, I'm more excited about sharing this with all of you tonight because it's become very near and dear to myself and my family, and it's become a passion. I've wanted to be a physician, a doctor, since I was 5 years old. Helping people and their health has been incredibly important to me, and that's why I sought out to do some of those other certifications, because I liked helping people heal. And if you became one of my primary care patients in the beginning, or even now, I always taught you how to stay healthy and out of my office. That was the biggest thing for me. And 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I was really looking for something for my son that wasn't a Western medicine, that wasn't Prozac, because he has an autoimmune condition called alopecia totalis. And it's a fancy word for losing all your hair, your eyelashes, your eyebrows. And, we had just done 5 years of treatments on and off with trying to trick his immune system, and I just needed to find something else. And so this was presented to me. I'm excited to share it with you all tonight who have logged on, and just give you some important new science that you might not even have heard about yet. Most likely, I didn't hear about it until 2.5 years ago. It's just exciting. It's like, that's my favorite word today, and I'm loving it. So we'll get started. I love putting definitions together first, and so let's talk about some definitions. Oxidative stress, what is it? It is just the natural wear and tear of a cell, and it doesn't matter if it is an innate object or if it is a live object, like an like an apple. I love that picture in the center, because whether it was grown to sit on a shelf of Walmart, frozen for a year and then onto the shelf, or you grew it in your backyard, once you cut it in half and the oxygen hits it, it starts to oxidize, it starts to brown. And that's what's happening in all of our cells. And the older we get, the more it's happening, and we're not able to recover. And whether or not we eat well, we use microwaves, pesticides, we live in Arizona in the sunlight and bake, or you live somewhere else where there's not as much pollution, we all undergo oxidative stress. And the problem with oxidative stress is when we can't clean it up, it leads to chronic diseases. And so we know that over 200 chronic diseases, the root cause is oxidative stress. And some of you might be thinking, oh, I'm healthy, nothing's wrong with me. But then you start looking at this list here and you think, oh, okay, maybe I do have that. For me, it was migraines. I wasn't even thinking of oxidative stress, making my migraines worse. It's the root cause of many autoimmune disorders, so I knew I needed to find a way to reduce the stress for my son. But when you look at this, you might be thinking of your spouse, your best friend, your mom, your dad, a sibling. And so there's heart disease on there, there's skin disease. I mean, every organ can be affected because every cell can be affected by oxidative stress. And so keep those two things in mind as you watch this 6-minute video that I'm gonna start here in a minute. And John Quinones was asked by ABC Primetime to do an investigative report on a supplement back in 2005 that there was a buzz being created, and they wanted to go in and see if this was true. And so I'm going to start off with that video because sometimes we talk we don't talk in layman's terms, and I like it because it's the story behind the company, and it set it off and it set it apart from everybody. And so I'll be back in just a few minutes.
You want to get an edge on turning back the clock with just a few pills? Who doesn't? Well, it's no longer science fiction, but science possibility, a potential breakthrough. As I found out firsthand, there may be a way to erase years, at least inside my body. Granted, it's down the road, but some scientists are wondering if a new pill I took might offer a very long life. It may not look like the fountain of youth, but inside this nondescript building, I'm about to become part of an exciting experiment, a kind of guinea pig.
Dr. McCord, okay.
I'm here at the University of Colorado in Denver to meet Dr. Joe McCord, a world-renowned scientist.
This is pretty exciting stuff you're finding, huh?
It is. We're very excited about it.
His latest research could very well unravel the mystery of aging itself. And his decades of experiments may have the potential of adding years to people's lives and possibly prevent chronic diseases like cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. It all centers around this small yellow pill, and for me, it begins with a blood test.
Can we scoop? Yeah, there we go.
It wouldn't be the first time I've given blood for this company.
They want to check my levels of something called T-bars, which is a rough indicator of a person's actual age. T-bars can identify a condition known as oxidative stress, a kind of measure of the wear and tear on our bodies. Oxidative stress, like the rusting of an engine, is not a good thing.
Bad for the body,
Leading to disease.
leading to disease and leading to malfunction, and importantly, leading to what we call aging. It is a slow progression of increasing oxidative stress. That's the main characteristic biochemically of the aging process.
The problem of aging begins with the very food we eat to give us energy. As our cells burn that food, they also release toxic chemicals. Those chemicals, you may know them as free radicals, react with all the components of our cells, literally bombarding them millions of times per second, damaging all our cells. The result? Oxidative stress, and we all have it. The body fights back with a system of defenses. It makes two antioxidant enzymes, catalase and SOD, whose job is to gobble up the free radicals before they can harm our cells. But as we get older, some of those toxic radicals overwhelm our enzymes and wreak their havoc. For a long time, scientists thought that antioxidant vitamins like C and E would lower it, but they don't.
As it's turned out in just the last 5 years or so, we see that they're not good enough tools. They're not powerful enough.
But this pill, he says, is powerful enough. In fact, many times more powerful.
So, doctor, how often do I take these?
And so, here I go. With that swallow, I've just become part of a potentially landmark scientific experiment.
Doesn't taste bad.
It's called Protandim, and tests on both mice and humans have already shown that it revs up the manufacture of those good enzymes in our bodies. More enzymes, fewer free radicals to harm us. Whether that will lead to longer life is still unknown. Experiments to see if mice live longer are about to get underway, but it's a tantalizing theory.
Right now, all we know is that this preparation decreases oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is not a disease, just like aging is not in itself a disease, but it's something that accompanies and is attached to many disease processes.
Have you discovered the fountain of youth?
I wouldn't put it that way, but we may have discovered something that will tell us a lot more about how we age, what happens biochemically, and maybe how we can slow it down. And so you can see the age-related.
Normally, oxidative stress, measured by those T-bars, increases with age. But in Dr. McCord's tests, taking just one pill of Protandim a day reversed that trend for everyone at every age, even for an 80-year-old.
They all are reduced to the level of oxidative stress that one would expect, frankly, in a newborn or a very young child.
Back to the oxidative stress levels of a child? It sounds too good to be true. Will Protandim work on me?
But what about my progress? After nearly 2 weeks now, it's time to get my results. Dr. McCord calculates the numbers. The result, my level of oxidative stress has declined dramatically.
45%, that's excellent.
Just look at where I fall on the graph, before and after.
Which, if extrapolated back, is the level you would see in a newborn baby.
Have we turned back the clock? Well, maybe not on the outside, but deep inside within my cells. Yes, indeed.
Would you suggest I keep taking this supplement?
I would.
And so, ancient Eastern healing and modern Western medicine may soon be working together. High oxidative stress is associated with more than aging. It's been linked to hundreds of illnesses.
It's at the very center of many diseases: liver disease, diabetes, emphysema, asthma. I've studied all of these: strokes, heart attacks,
Even mental disease,
yes,
depression?
Alzheimer's disease, depression. But we do know that oxidative stress is part of those disease processes. I don't want to wait until I'm 80 years old and find out that I should have taken it.
The company that makes Protandim says its tests show the pill, made from ingredients used for centuries, is absolutely safe. But because it's being sold as a nutritional supplement and not a drug, Protandim does not need FDA approval for safety. For more, go to our website at abcnews.com.
And so after that aired, it just skyrocketed. People were watching, and instead of debunking this supplement called Protandim, it just made everybody want to take it. And so $5 million of orders came in. The stock went up from $1 to $20, but unfortunately they were just a small little biotech company. I mean, you saw them visit them at, the University of Colorado. Were talking about it. There was no infrastructure, no sales team, no marketing team. And we'll talk about that part of the story in a little bit. But the exciting part were major universities were watching and thinking, okay, we already know what oxidative stress can do, and we're already studying it in disease X, Y, and Z. What would happen if we started using Protandim and decreasing that oxidative stress? And so they called Dr. McCord and the team and said, can we use Protandim in our studies? And that's very interesting because that doesn't really happen. And for me, after watching that, I thought to myself, okay, I need to go do my due diligence, because whenever someone would bring me something to look at, I would always go to a place called PubMed. And we'll talk about that in this next slide. And when I typed in Protandim 2.5 years ago, there were 16 peer-reviewed articles, and I saw circulation come up as one of the first ones, and it caught my eye. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is put on by the American Heart Association. It is considered the Bible by most cardiologists for disease treatments and just literature. And Protandim is the only branded nutraceutical to ever be in a journal of this caliber, previous to and since that article. And so I had to read that one first. And it was just incredible, showing decreased sclerosis and fibrosis of the right ventricle, that the heart muscle is the muscle of the body you don't want to have get bigger. So, and then a few years ago, Washington State was just even looking at NRF2, and I got to read through this, and they stated that NRF2 is like a master regulator of the cell. And in their statement, they said, we may be on the verge of a new literature on the health effects of NRF2, which may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. Two words ring true to what I try to do every day in my practices and with my family: therapeutic and preventative. And I couldn't believe that there was this pathway that I hadn't learned about yet, and that it truly is a breakthrough in medicine. So let's talk specifically about Protandim. It's a combination of 5 herbal ingredients. So ashwagandha, bacopa, milk thistle, green tea, and turmeric. And some of you might already be taking one of those because someone told you it was good for anti-aging or anti-inflammatory. Well, what Dr. McCord was able to do was take them, specific parts of their extracts, put them together, and they're 18 times more potent than taking them separately or in any other combination. And with the human study, we found that it reduced oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days and up to 70% with continued use. And the key part is because it's activating this NRF2 system. So the key word, again, that you're going to learn is NRF2 activation, NRF2 synergy, NRF2 technology. It is becoming a buzzword. And the difference here is when you activate it, you are releasing your own antioxidants. Your body makes them and is releasing them instead of taking them like a vitamin C or a vitamin E. Or eating your blueberries and green leafy vegetables. When you do that, I'm not telling you don't have a good diet, but when you do that, you're only neutralizing one free radical at a time, and it's one and done. When you turn on this NRF2 system, you are increasing SOD, glutathione, hemogenase 1, catalase. Those are all fancy words for really great things in the body that help reduce inflammation, scarring, fibrosis, all of those types of things that we don't want to have happen in our body. And so if you remember me saying I went to PubMed, it's put on by the National Institute of Health, and that's where all peer-reviewed and published data is. And so tonight, if you type in Protandim, there are 23 peer-reviewed articles. That's incredible on a natural supplement, just incredible. There are 11 patents protecting the formulations, both international and domestically. And there's 2 seals of approval on there. The BSCG is the Banned Substance Control Group. And so elite athletes can take this and not worry about doping. I mean, they've worked really hard to get where they're at. They don't want to test positive for anything. There's only about 40 items on that list that they can take. So that's really neat that we're one of them. And the NSF seal approval. So I love those seals because what is on the label is what you are ingesting. And almost 2 years ago, the New York Times came out and they were talking about over-the-counter supplements. And they went to like GNC, High Health, Vitamin World, Walmart, Target, and they randomly picked out supplements. Only 21% of the bottles tested had the active ingredient in the right amount. So it's wonderful that we go through this testing to prove that what's on the label is what you are ingesting. And that's incredibly important for myself and my family. And then, you know, I am definitely promoting this as well. And then that last bullet where it says proven to extend lifespan. Well, if you remember in that video, there was they were holding up a mouse and saying studies are underway to see if mice can be their lifespan can be extended. And last year we found out after the 10 years of study that it can, and the NIA published it. And we extended lifespan by 7%, which is about 5 human years. And that was only on half the dose of Protandim. So who knows how long we would have extended life. And it's healthy life, you guys. It's changing the way we age. It's reducing that inflammation. That's the exciting part. And then we have another breakthrough, and it's NRF1. NRF1, we released it about a year ago now, and a year ago I was getting ready to take my boards again. It had been over 10 years for my internal medicine board, and there was an oncologist that was teaching this part of the lectures, and he told us that you know, he was going to kind of say something controversial. He was telling us about cancer and not thinking it was just a genomic problem, that there is a hit to the genome causing cancer. He says where research is going and where the thought process is now is that there is a mitochondrial hit. The mitochondria is dysfunctional, it's not doing its job, so then it's not protecting the genome, and then the genome, it can be affected and cancer is born. So I couldn't believe that because I knew our company was coming up with a NRF1 activator, and that is for our mitochondria. And if you think about mitochondria, a lot of us think about it back to junior high, just ATP. You remember that word, ATP and energy. Well, it's so much more than that. And so on the left-hand side of the screen, you can kind of look where it's really into the nervous system. So not only like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, Huntington's, chronic fatigue, Lou Gehrig's, I mean, the list goes on. But we know it as far as energy and in the body and protective for so many more things than just the nervous system and protecting against cancer. And so on the right-hand side, you're just seeing some of those things that activating NRF1, helping that mitochondrial function happen is incredibly important. And again, we're at that forefront. And we are today with NRF1 where we were 10 years ago or more with NRF2. And so that literature is going to be start coming in as well. Multiple sclerosis was near and dear to our hearts a couple of years ago when we were introduced to this company, and I was so excited to see this. Biogen is the company that makes Tecfidera, and some of you might have heard about Tecfidera. It's the latest and greatest in MS drugs, and unfortunately it's $50,000 a year. But the cool part is the company went head-to-head, asked if they could use Protandim in their study, and they wrote in the conclusion that Protandim, a dietary supplement consisting of herbal ingredients, was the most potent inducer and therefore maybe the most suited as a therapeutic strategy. Protandim NRF2 is $40 plus shipping and tax. It's all natural. You are turning on the NRF2 system in a pulsatile fashion in which you can think of it like a dimmer switch. When there's more stress, more antioxidants are released. When there's less stress, the cell can become quiescent again. Well, when you activate the NRF2 path synthetically, like Tecfidera, like all of these pharmaceutical companies that are trying to be, second and third to market, when it comes to this activating this pathway, it's like a light switch. You take the drug, and the cell is then activated, and you have to wait for the half-life to wear off, and another half-life for the cell to be in control. And that's where side effects, that's where problems can occur. And that's why there are so many drugs that are in phase 1 and phase 2 and not making it to market yet, because they're trying to, I think, in my opinion, I'm going to say beat Protandim and reducing that oxidative stress so well. And that is my glorious opinion for those of you watching. So anyway, we have put NRF2 in other products, and we are a science-based company. That is why you are listening to me on a Wednesday night talking about this. So Axio is brain food. I had never done an energy drink in my life prior to this, and I was worried about joining the company, and they're telling me, oh, we're coming out with an energy drink. Well, I got to meet and to really discuss this, and it's brain food. It has quercetin, DMAE, L-theanine. The Monterey pine bark is the NRF2 activator, and they're passing through the blood-brain barrier, and they're helping the brain function. When the brain has food, then energy increases, mood is more stable. You feel just, I like to say, you feel wonderful. It is my crack. I love it because I don't need coffee. I can see patients throughout the day and not get tired. I can work out and feel like I'm recovering better. So it's wonderful. We're using it in children as well, just to help with their focus and their energy. One of them has caffeine, only 100 milligrams, less than a half a cup of coffee, which is great. And one part of it that I really, really love to talk about when I'm sitting down and doing a one-on-one is it has the activated form of folic acid. In my practice, a lot of patients don't want to go on an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety medication. And I prescribe something called Deplin. It's the same thing, but without a prescription. It's folic acid in the activated form, and it just does a wonder for our mood. And I just love that we have it in Axio. We have a weight management system called Physique. The main part that I love about this is the probiotic. So many Americans and just across the world, we have horrible guts, and people just want an antibiotic at the first sign of a fever. And so we have just caused resistance. We have caused so many issues with our gut. So I was a big time promoter of probiotics. And I love this one because it doesn't need to be refrigerated. It's patented, so it doesn't start to open up until the second part of the small intestine and starts to release throughout the intestine, the colon, and it has Wellmune in it. Wellmune has properties of keeping those tight junctions tight. You don't want stool and poop crossing through, those toxins crossing through into the bloodstream and making us sick. So we are helping to have a healthy gut. When we have a healthy gut, we have a happy brain, we have a happy life. It's incredible. Our serotonin levels go up. we start to absorb nutrients better. This probiotic is great because you don't have to refrigerate it. The one I was purchasing for my husband was over $125 with insurance a month, and we had to keep it in the fridge. It was just a nightmare. And then True Science. I've really been into wound care, aesthetics, as Shawn had said in the intro. And it was, again, this was something I had to just wrap my brain around because I didn't understand nerve 2 of the skin and how it could activate it. And I got to meet one-on-one with Dr. Natalie Chevreau, who's the formulator, and her name might ring a bell to some of you. She developed Strivectin, which is the #1 anti-wrinkle reducing over the counter. But anyway, she blew my mind, and she just talked about how it's just working through every layer of the skin. So we are working from the outside in now. And it came about because Louisiana State University was looking at Protandim and skin cancer, melanoma specifically. And when you go to PubMed, you'll see those articles, the 3 articles by LSU, and they were stating that it was acting like a preventative or chemotherapeutic agent. And so True Science was born. And it's a 4-step regimen, a cleanser, a serum lotion that looks like a toner but no alcohol, an eye gel, and an anti-aging cream. And then we have Canine Health for our 4-legged friends. It's wonderful. The science was actually done here in Arizona, the research, double-blind placebo, which was great because dogs don't know if they're getting placebo. But within 30 days, they were starting to notice changes. And so it was formulated just for them. So please get back to whoever invited you tonight to talk about any of these products. They're incredible, and we can go into more depth. But I love pictures. They're worth a million, words. And so the one up in the upper right-hand corner, only a man would try something on half of his face for 30 days. But he looks like he had a stroke. It's incredible. And I've started to see this with my patients. So they're not needing Botox as often and getting to come off some of their other either medications I'm prescribing for their skin or some physician skincare line things. So it's incredible what we're seeing. And then I have to stop and say, we don't treat, cure, prevent, mitigate, but what we're allowing is for the skin for the body to heal itself, for the body to have the tools to go in and fix and have that vacuum cleaner cleaned on and those genes upregulated and downregulated. So the picture on the bottom is psoriasis. And so just think about what you can do naturally. And that's what we loved about with our son. He hasn't seen a dermatologist in 2.5 years. We haven't had to use steroids, which made him hungry and moody. We didn't have to go for injections. I hated that part because I was the stoic one taking him, and he'd get anywhere between 20 and 30 injections on his scalp of steroid and, and topical. And so it's just been amazing for us. And I've got many more stories where that came from now doing this for 2.5 years. And here's a great example of a child just not needing to go on a medication for ADD, just being able to use Protandim and Axio, give his brain the nutrition that it needs, and 2 weeks later getting to just do his spelling without his mom yelling at him. And then I'll leave you with a quote here. Oregon State University stated that when it finds a problem, Nerve2 essentially goes back to the cellular nucleus and rings the alarm bell where it can turn on up to 200 genes that are responsible for cell repair, detoxification of carcinogens, protein and lipid metabolism, antioxidant protection, and other actions. In their report, the scientists called it a longevity assurance factor. So it's incredible to be at the forefront, category creating, just, business opportunity at the same time as helping us slow down in aging and age without chronic disease. And that's been really important. I always tell people I am going to grow old kicking and screaming. And so if you want to join me, you will look at the things that I'm doing as well. And it's become something, there's a picture of my family that we're doing as a business. There's Joey with a full head of hair. I love it, where he doesn't have to do a comb over. It's helped us tremendously with so many things. But if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been open to listening to it as much as I did and researching it. And now I can't stop talking about it because I know we are at the forefront of helping people. And as a physician, it's my duty to do that. And so when people ask me why I'm doing it as a business, That's one of the main reasons is I can do this and grow a company for my kids to work in with myself and my husband, and get to do some of the things that are important, like medical missions. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to the awesome Shawn. Shawn and Michelle, we got to meet with our first incentive trip 2 years ago, and have just learned so much from them, are encouraged by them all the time, and just really enjoy their advice whenever we get a chance. So with that, thank you so much for sharing tonight with me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Good stuff, Doctor. I love it. It's always fun to be able to share the stage with a medical professional. And, you know, my background isn't that. I'm a financial analyst by trade. Got out of the corporate world about 9 months after we decided to take this business serious. And, you know, it was the products that sold us. When we first started hearing about Protandim, it was a cardiologist here in Sioux Falls that was presenting the information. And I'll never forget him stating that he had never seen a branded supplement be published in the American Heart Association journal Circulation. And they don't publish scam research. They don't publish snake oil. And, you know, my thought and Michelle's thought was, even if this is half as good as what they're saying, it's something that we wanted to integrate into our health strategy. And that's really what we're doing here tonight, is just sharing information with you. And I think it's an absolute no-brainer that people are going to integrate this as well into their health strategy. It's just a matter of how you get it. Because, you know, you used to be able to get it off the retail shelves, but it sat on the shelves of GNC and CVS and Rite Aids and sold less than a bottle per store per month, even as great of a product as it was. The company almost went bankrupt in 2005, 2007, and 2009. And kindly, as a last-ditch effort, they agreed to put it into network marketing and see if that would be a better model for distribution. And I can tell you this about network marketing. I had a very negative connotation attached to it when I first started investigating it. But what I found is when it's done right with the right people and the right products, it's an amazing way to do business. And if we look at the course of business and how things are going, you guys, this is how business is starting to shape up, more so now than ever before in history. And brick and mortar stores that if you would have told analysts and investors 10 years ago would have disappeared, they would have said you're crazy. I mean, even look at Walmart, the biggest retailer in the world, closed 150 stores in the US in 2016, and there's a bunch more slated in 2017. You know, looking at brands and legends like Radio Shack, who would have thought 10 years ago that Radio Shacks would disappear? You know, but that's the case. Brick and mortar stores are having a harder and harder time staying in business. And what's replacing them, though? What is it that's taking the consumer's dollar? Because it's not that we're spending less, it's just we're spending it differently. And stores like Amazon, where they have the distribution model of putting, you know, a virtual storefront up, and people order products from them, same products they could get in stores, but it goes from a distribution center right to somebody's house. And that's exactly what network marketing is. That's exactly what we do, you guys. We share this information with people, and instead of going to GNC or Rite Aid, they're getting it from a distributor. And the distributor doesn't carry the product. They don't carry the inventory at their house. It goes right from the distribution center to the consumer's household. So that's what I really love about this. And if you think about other, you know, companies that are disrupting the marketplace, like Uber, for example, you know, 10 years ago, if you would have gone to Chicago and thought that the taxi cab system would be disrupted by a new technology, people would have thought you were crazy, or maybe they would have thought that all of a sudden there's, you know, flying cars going around or something like that. But they would have never expected that an app on a phone could replace the entire taxi cab service industry. And that's really what's happening. But if you take that even a step further, I think here's what people aren't understanding is that the change is going to continue to happen. All these people that are gravitating towards turning their cars into Uber machines real soon aren't going to have a job either, because what Uber invested in 2016 was $600 million in trying to get technology that will have driverless cars. And they've actually deployed that technology into certain cities in a limited fashion. But I promise you this, they are not in their long-term thinking we're going to be paying humans to drive people around for very long. They're trying to continue to disrupt the industry and the service. So what we have to do is look and see, you know, what does the future hold? Are we in a place that we have sustainability in our work environment. And for me, it was more than that. I wasn't happy in the environment that I was in. I worked for one of the largest companies in the world. At its height, we had about 350,000 people with Citigroup. And, you know, I had a great job. I had an amazing team that I worked with and got to work with on a daily basis. But the reality was, it wasn't a matter of if our department was going to go away. It was just when it was going to happen and where we would go after the fact. And when this opportunity got dumped into our lap, you know, even though I was skeptical about it, I was open-minded enough to see where it fit in with our life. And because we were so passionate about the products already, we just started naturally sharing it with our friends and families, you know, telling them that this is something that they had to look at and showing them that ABC primetime video. So I'm going to show you a couple slides, then we're going to wrap this up. But I really want you to understand kind of where the business opportunity lies in all of this. And again, I know the business side isn't for everybody, but I at least want you to have enough information that you can make that decision for yourself, whether this is for you or you just want to be a customer at this point. So let me pull up the few slides that I have here. The first one is an S-curve, and this is a basic model in any business or industry or service, where at the very beginning, it's really the innovators or the early adopters that are going to focus on a new technology, a new product, a new service. And then over the course of time, if it exists long enough, there becomes this point in time where the average person starts to hear about it, and that's when this momentum phase kicks in, and that's where the majority of the growth of that company happens. And then eventually it stabilizes where it's a well-known product or service, and it kind of flattens out. Well, with LifeVantage, you guys, nobody knows about LifeVantage. Nobody knows about Nerf 2 and the science behind it, or Nerf 1 or Axial. I've been all over the world doing this, in Australia, Canada, Mexico, all over the United States, different places, the Philippines. There hasn't been a marketplace that I've set foot in where you could randomly ask 100 people if they know about Nerf 2 or Protandim, and the average person would be like, oh yeah, I know all about this. Well, the reality is at some point in time, this technology is so significant, it will become mainstream, and it's not going to be a matter of if somebody's taken a Nerf 2 product, it's what Nerf 2 product are you taking? And we already have a decade's head start on any other company that comes to market in the research that we have. Plus, we have a ton of patents that protect any copycat products popping up on the shelves of like Walmart or Waltandem, or called Waltandem anytime soon. So that's what I would look for in a business, you guys. It might not be this business, but I would look at the timing. Where are you fitting in? You know, look at Starbucks. Would a Starbucks be a better investment 20 years ago or today? You know, when people didn't necessarily know that millions of people every day would clamor for $5 a piece coffees, or at the fact now that it's at the top of the S-curve when everybody already knows about it. The next thing that I want to show you is the reality of what people are being paid in this company. Because to me, if we were going to be successful network marketers, I joked with Michelle, we'd get a $20 check, we'd go get a Redbox movie and a bottle of wine. That's how serious I treated this business. I didn't think you could make real money doing it. And here you can see on the left-hand side, it shows the ranks in the company that go from Pro 1 up to Pro 10. And then that third column over, the monthly average, is really what I want to focus on. Because you can see here at those first couple levels, Pro 1, Pro 2, Pro 3, $100, $250, $500 a month, there's part-time money that people can make doing this. And my experience in the corporate world was that the average bankruptcy could be avoided with an extra couple $100s a month. If I could show most people how to make $250 to $500 a month, they wouldn't have as many financial struggles as they do today. And the reality is this: if that isn't you, I promise you, you have friends and family that are going to bed tonight wondering how they're going to make it through the rest of this month because they don't have enough money to pay the bills or get through and pay what they need to pay. Then you look at those ranks of like Pro 4, Pro 5. This to me is supplemental income, $1,000, $2,000 a month. You know, we have this generation of baby boomers who are coming up to retirement age. And guess what? Retirement is not what they were told 30 or 40 years ago it was going to be. Pensions have disappeared. 401ks have really disappeared. Even those that saved haven't saved enough to live the same lifestyle that they're accustomed to during their working years. And so when they go to retire, they have one of two choices: either live off of less money or continue to work. And if I could roadmap out how they could earn an extra $1,000 or $2,000 a month, do you think that that might avoid them having to take a part-time job? And then look at just the ranks of Pro 5, 6, and 7, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month. You guys, to me, this is full-time replacing income for 90% of households in the United States. They're going to fall somewhere into these categories. And again, if we can roadmap out to them how over the course of a couple of years, they could get to these types of income levels on a residual basis every single month, do you not think that there's going to be people attracted to this type of business model? And then to me, I wouldn't have even believed this if it would have existed when we started 5 years ago, 6 years ago, but Elite Pro 8, 20,000 plus a month, 23,000. Elite Pro 9s, 35,000 on average a month. Master Pro 10s over $80,000 a month. This was money that I didn't even think could possibly exist with somebody becoming a network marketer. And I'm going to tell you this, it's not to brag about anything that I've done or anything that me and my wife have done, but I want to tell you the reality of this. We didn't come into this knowing anything about network marketing. We didn't know the first thing about nutraceuticals, but we hit that rank of Elite Pro 7 in 12 months. 12 months later, we hit the rank of Elite Pro 8, and 12 months after that, we had a second business position that was also at Pro 8 level. And so this is life-changing money. It does make a difference in what you have freedoms to do in your life. The compensation plan, I'm not going to go over in depth every single way that we get paid, but just know that there's upfront money that people can make, and there's also long-term residual income that people make as well. I want to focus on that sixth one that you see on the right side of the screen, the Elite Bonus Pool, because to me, this was a revenue sharing program. And they start at the rank of Pro 7. And what they do is they take 4% of the global revenue, you guys. It's not profit sharing where they cut out expenses. It's true revenue sharing. And they take 4% and they put it into 1% segments where all the 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s share 1%. The 8, 9s, and 10s a second percent. The 9s and 10s a third. And the Pro 10s, which globally right now there's probably about 10 paid as Pro 10s that are sharing 1% of a $200 million company. That's amazing, you guys. And anybody can get there. And the thing that I loved about this the most was it didn't matter when you signed up. It didn't matter where your group was. As long as you hit that rank of Pro 7, you're going to start participating in every single order that goes out worldwide. So myself, I don't know anybody in Thailand, but I hope Thailand blows up because I get a share of the revenue that comes out of there. Japan, we don't have a big team in Japan or Hong Kong, any of those areas. But as those countries develop and grow, and these are places that know what ashwagandha are and bacopa and turmeric and have used these ingredients for hundreds of years, it's going to continue to grow the company. So that's where I get excited about on the residual side. And I'll tell you this about residual income. It is very different from what most people are accustomed to getting paid as. Most people trade time for money. They show up 2 weeks later, they get a check. Okay. Some people, they are in private practice or in business for themselves. But Dr. Rodarte, if you don't show up to work for a month, does your income go up, go down, or stay the same?
Oh, it goes down. It's scary to take a vacation.
Right? Exactly. It costs to take a vacation. You guys hear that? So the reality is when you can build residual income, even if this isn't for you, find a way in 2017 to get residual income in your life. Because the reality of residual income is this. Unlike a linear income where you trade time for money, you get paid whether you do the work or you don't. Once you've done the work once, you get paid over and over and over again for work you did in the past. And how amazing is that? The problem is there's not a ton of different ways to get residual income into your life. If you're a great singer or you're a movie star, you could do it that way. You could write a book. Those aren't my skill sets. I don't have tens of millions of dollars in investment accounts, so I'm not getting it that way. Real estate holdings is another way where you're going to have massive amounts, millions upon millions, to get those kind of income levels. But network marketing in general, I think, offers the easiest path for somebody to achieve residual income with the cheapest outlay of capital. So just think about that as you're processing whether this is for you or not. The last part that I want to talk is really about how you get involved. Okay, customers pay the same price as distributors do. So you're not going to get a benefit by becoming a distributor. And I love that for the simple fact that if the business isn't for you, don't do it. Just tell the person that invited you on here what products you want to take and get those products into your body. But if you're Rolodexing people in your head that you think could take advantage of something like this, you know, the business side's probably for you. If you're that person that feels that you're stuck or you're not where you want to get in your workplace, maybe this is the avenue for you to get something different. But you've got to make change in your life to get something different. So the 3 different levels that you can get in are $300, $600, and $1,200, you guys. And you know, it might seem like a lot, but I can tell you the cost of even going at that high end, that platinum level at $1,200 for the potential that it offers. Let's say it took you 3 to 5 years to get $5,000 in residual income. What else do you have that you can do that with? And this is a proven system, you guys. If you follow the plan and do it long enough and get this in front of enough people and find like-minded people, you will have success. It's just a matter of not quitting on yourself and following the system. Like I said, Michelle and I, we didn't have any idea of what we were doing when we first started, but we were coachable and we had a great work ethic. And that's what led to our success. You can see here the different savings that you're going to get when you get those packs. To me, if you're going to do a business, you might as well do it right. And the most amount of product that you're going to get, the highest savings that you're going to get, and the most bonus and extras you're going to get is with that platinum pack. So for $1,200, that's how you get involved with that. 30% savings on all the product that comes inside of it. To me, when we first got involved, we got the business part just because we knew even if we didn't get off the starting line, we'd basically have our money back in product that we were already going to take, and we were just prepaying for the product. So that's where we started. That's where we went. And I can tell you this, you guys, we have big things lined up for what's going to happen. This technology will disrupt, I think, not only the nutraceutical world, but network marketing in general. We're going to do huge things, and we're just looking for a few other people that see it like we see it. And we want to lock arms and run with you and share this message with the world. So please do me a favor. Let the person know that invited you onto this call where you're at. If this isn't for you, that's okay. What I'd ask though, if it isn't for you, if a new product comes out or maybe a new study or new financials, we could just send that over to you. And if something does change in your life where all of a sudden it does become something that you're interested in, go back to the person that first introduced this to you and let them know that something changed. If you have questions, let us know what those questions are. We can direct you to the right information, because I'll contend this, is that the internet is filled with a ton of information, but a blogger is not credible as the American Heart Association. So we'd love to get you, in front of the right and proper information, places like PubMed.gov, the National Institute of Health's repository of research and science, places like that. And then third, if you're ready to get started, let us know. If it's as a customer, we'll get you enrolled and get the product going. Or if it's as a distributor, we can get you started with that too. We have some amazing trainings across the globe that happen on a monthly basis. The next one's coming up actually on Saturday. So check with the person that invited you here. Even if you're kind of on the fence, I would say go and attend one of those events. You'll know for sure after those 4 hours if this is for you or not. I'm headed out the door on Friday morning to teach in Napa, California. But there's about 33 places across North America where these trainings are going to happen. And they're amazing, amazing events. We've also got a global convention that's happening in Salt Lake City the 3rd week of April. It's going to be 3 amazing days of just in-depth information on how to build this business right. Michelle and I, we were actually at the very first global convention back in 2011. We went 2 weeks after we signed up. We were told that it would take 9 to 12 months off our learning curve. And even though we weren't super gung-ho about doing the business, we realized that if we could do that and we did decide to do the business, shaving 9 months off of our learning curve was astronomical in getting an advantage in the marketplace. So that's what we decided to do. And that decision changed our life forever. So again, thank you guys for your time. As Melody said, we understand that you guys had a lot of different choices on what you could have done with your Wednesday night. So jumping on with us, we appreciate that. If there's anything at all that we can do to help you, answer more questions or just get you where you want to get, please let us know. We're here for you. So with that, unless there's anything else, doctor, that you would like to throw in there?
No, thank you so much. This was definitely fun to do with you, a fun meeting to do with you. So thank you for sharing
Awesome.
with me.
Likewise. I appreciate you doing this, and you and Tony reaching out to make this happen. So I hope this was beneficial to everybody. With that, we'll end this meeting and reach out again and just get back with the person that invited you on. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.